Earlier this week, on Heritage Day to be exact, I got dressed up in the most proudly South African outfit that I could think of, as I normally do. And I went to go meet 3 of my friends for a drink. And upon reaching the bar, I realized that it was closed. So I went upstairs to check if anybody was still there. I got up there, and I saw this man having a lonely one-man Heritage Day lunch. So I was a bit worried. But as soon as I turned the corner, I saw a blonde-haired, blue-eyed couple. 2 of the 3 friends that I was going to meet. The 3rd, who was still hungover, was still on her way. So naturally, I greeted them with much excitement and animation. And then I said I would quickly run downstairs to see if I could still hustle myself a drink. So upon reaching the elevator, I was met by another couple. And the lady, who said they were from Paarl, begged my pardon, and she asked, "I'm sorry, but I just have to say, I have never heard such a beautiful accent. Where on earth do you get that accent from?" "What do you mean?" I said. She said, "I mean, I have never heard a black South African accent like that. I mean, it doesn't sound Xhosa or Zulu or Sotho. It doesn't sound like any of the black English accents I've heard before. And believe me, that's a compliment." So I continued to throw my head back in polite laughter and patient understanding, whilst all the while, the only thing that I could think about was this irremovable impression that people get of me every single time I open my mouth to speak. And just how deeply linked something as basic as my accent is to issues of cultural identity, of what privilege should do for you, of what success looks like, and of how education should get you there. My name is Liz, and I am now a full-time generalist. Not a journalist, but a generalist. The jack of all trades, master of most things type of generalist. That's who I am. I am also a stand out of the crowder. And I am a storyteller. And today, I'm simply here to tell you a very basic story and honest, first-hand account of legacies that are being turned on their head. And the legacies I speak of are African cultural legacies and legacies, again, of what the road to success actually looks like. And the people responsible for turning these legacies on their heads are people guilty, like me. And that is actually not a bad thing. And that's what I'm here to tell you. So, I am a black middle-class female. And I grew up with quite a comfortable lifestyle. And unfortunately, to the dismay of my parents, I turned out to be a bit of an oddball, a bit of a weirdo. But it's being a weirdo that's really helped me see things differently. And it's that thing that's made me not just trust whatever I was expected to just believe in. So being a weirdo in African middle-class culture actually isn't that difficult. All that it takes is that you grow out some musty dreadlocks, you stop eating meat, and occasionally, you dabble in aquatic activities. But being unconventional with the more bigger life choices is what's harder to do. But you have to start early, like I did. So as I mentioned, this comfortable lifestyle that I grew up with, it really interested me most when I realized that the things that this privilege had afforded me kind of had a reverse effect, according to maybe what my father and parents thought would have happened with the things that they gave me. So I'm going to give you 3 examples of areas in my life where these reverse effects occurred. The first is my exposure and obsession with television. The second is being lucky enough to travel overseas from a very young age. And the third is that clinging or trying to cling onto your cultural identity. So the first, from a very early age, I believed with all my heart that I had a laboratory as complex and as dynamic as Dexter's. And to me, it just made sense that if Dexter could take this massive space and cram it into some unknown location in that tiny house. So I thought that if Dexter could fit that into his bedroom cupboard, then surely I could fit my own Liz's laboratory into my mind and into my heart. So I was one of those kids, the types who would run off the roof with 2 umbrellas stapled down the center, hoping that gravity would concur. I was adamant on being an inventor. And this was similar to when I would force my friends and family to come dine at my restaurant, where I would offer a wide variety of cuisine, and I would offer appetizers ranging from crumbs tartare to eggs con carne. And it was there where I started treating food the same way that I treat paints, inks, and charcoals. And so another thing is definitely travel. What my dad and parents probably thought was just fun family vacation time turned out for me to be an extremely big eye-opener in terms of what lay beyond the accepted norms and standards. So for instance, getting to travel to Disney twice when I was really young is what made me want to become a theme park designer. And it's what sparked my love affair with animation and creative writing. Traveling to Egypt is what made me realize that the only way that the academic world could come alive for me was through experience. And traveling to Asia, well, that just made me want to be Asian, I think. So that was me and my travels. And going back to the topic of my beautiful accent, which the lady from Paul so generously pointed out. It doesn't come easily and without any costs. I have always been baffled by how easily it is for people's perceptions of me to change and of people's comfort levels to change as soon as I speak to them. I'm going to be dead honest right now and tell you that I speak to my parents strictly in English. They speak to me in our home languages, but I, since I was very young, have only spoken to them in English, ever since the point that my English got better than my home languages. And this is something that local children and my cousins, yes, I still remember, at our respective homesteads in Swaziland and Limpopo would never let us forget. And when I would think of these people who would tease us and give us a bit of a hard time, when it came to whether or not we knew our culture, the one thing I would say to them is, you can never take the ghetto away from me. And so now, when anybody asks me whether or not I'm down with my culture, this is all I have to say to them. Actions speak louder than words. Yes. So that's all I had to say to them on that topic. So just like not everyone can bust a move the way that I just did, there are different strokes for different folks. And, let me catch my breath. And I found education to be one of them. If there's anything in my life that ever made me doubt my true abilities, my true talents, and my better judgment, that had to be school. I just didn't get it. It just made no sense to me. Maths made sense. Science eventually made sense. But school, it just completely went over my head. And so around the age of 14, I started a bit of a sick, sadistic addiction to failing and to suffering. And what best encapsulates this is an assignment I remember I had for my physical education class. I was dead last in the grade to hand it in. And I remember this assignment particularly because it was the first time I literally dared a teacher to fail me. I dared her. I said, calmly, "Madam, you told me 5 weeks ago that you were going to fail me. It makes absolutely no sense for you to threaten children with a 0 and then continue to harass them daily for 2 months, long after the entire grade has already gotten their marks back and moved on with their lives. It just doesn't make sense." Naturally, not many 39-year-olds take getting told the truth from a 14-year-old girl very lightly. So I was sent to detention, and I eventually got 5% for the 1 page that I submitted. And this pretty much marked the start of my bad relationship with marks and my being disillusioned by marks. So I had a very bad relationship with marks, and this moved all the way through my life into university, where I have now, just 2 months ago, recently taken a decision to drop my 2 majors in architecture. And this decision reflects my difficulty in coming to terms with where and how to learn discipline and what exactly it is that I want to do in my life. But I'm glad that I've made the decision and finally feel as though I can stand on my own 2 feet and see where exactly it is that I need to go. I'm skipping ahead now. The point in all of this is also to tell my parents and people similar to my parents that they need to start expecting something when they throw their children out into a world of mixed culture and values. And that thing that you need to expect is that they're going to choose whatever makes most sense to them. And sometimes that doesn't make sense to you. But sometimes that may be the thing that makes them able to dream bigger and more magical dreams than you could ever imagine. What I envisioned was a world without predetermined masks of what success looks like, of what privilege can do for you, of where and how education happens, and of what cultural legacies say are acceptable or unacceptable. Mother Teresa put it really well once when she said that life is a dream, so live it. But I think Liz Maelane put it best when she said, even in a hurried, rushed manner, that life is your face, so just paint it. Thank you.